All right, 3-1 angles in standard form. This should feel like review for you guys for Math 3. Standard position. Okay, so you're going to have stuff like this tonight on your homework. Coordinate planes. You're going to have marks like this. That there is called your terminal side. Do you guys remember hearing that before? Terminal side. Now, the terminal side is not always in quadrant 1. This one here, you will have to put arrows to show the direction, because that arrow there is showing that I've moved from this blue line here up in the positive direction. Do you see that? All right. So is the positive direction the only way to go? No. All right. So I want to make sure you understand that you're always starting here. So if your line doesn't move, that's 0. This one did swing up in the positive direction, but it's also to swing in which way? Down in the negative direction. So that is a possibility as well, and you would put an arrow there to show that that is the negative direction. Okay, quick review from last year and years before. Your quadrants, this here is quadrant 1 and 2. I go left or down? Left. 2, 3, and 4. If you don't like using Roman numerals, can you just use your numbers 1, 2, 3, 4? Yes. All right. In degrees, this is 0 degrees. This one here is 90 degrees. This one here is 180. This is 270, and going all the way around is 360. So does 360 end up back on the 0 spot? Yes. Those are called coterminal angles, when I end up two angles being in the same spot. 0 is in the same spot as 360. Got it? All right. Review, yes? Do you guys remember all this stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. Sketch. And standard position. Number 1, 30 degrees. All you're going to do is draw your coordinate plane. And where would 30 degrees be, in quadrant 1 or quadrant 2, 3, or 4? 1. Now, is it going to be like way up here close to the 90? Way down here close to the 0? Really close, like way down here? No. If 45, do you guys agree 45 is in the middle? It's going to be slightly below that. Do you agree? I mean, I'm not going to look and, oh, that doesn't look right, mark it wrong. As long as you have it, it looks somewhat in the right spot. And what do you need here? Your arrow. All right. Any questions? Number 2, 90 degrees. Make your coordinate plane. Where is 90 degrees? Is it right here? All right, so when you draw it, I'm gonna put a different color just so you can see it. It ends up being right here. Do you agree? Can you see that? I'm gonna put an arrow there. That is your 90 degrees. Is it important to put the arrow? Yes, so we know what direction you are moving. All right, number 3, 120 degrees. Is that still in quadrant 1?
No.
No. Quadrant 1 is between 0 and 90. All right. Now, think about your numbers. This is 0, this is 90, this is 180. which quadrant would it be in? It'll be in quadrant 2. Now when you're trying to figure out, like, you know, where, again, it doesn't have to be exact, but you do want to think about approximately where, because we're going to use those angles later. You always use the 180 or the 360 as your guide. So how far is 120 from 180? 60. So think of drawing a 60 from here, and it looks like that. Okay, so you use the 180, the 360, you never use the 90 or the 270 when you're trying to figure out how far are you. It's always how far are you from the x-axis, never the y. That is called your reference angle. Did you guys deal with a reference angle last year? Yes? All right, so what would our reference angle be in this case? 60 degrees. That's this angle right in here. And how did you guys get that? You did 180 minus 120. Does that make sense?
How do we know not to subtract from the x360?
It depends on which quadrant you're in. If you're in these two quadrants, you're going to use the 180.
Oh.
You would only use the 360 if you're in quadrant 3, or you went all the way around and you're back in quadrant 1. So 1 and 3, you use the 360. And did I say it right? 2 and 3, you use the 180. Okay? All right, number 4, 200 degrees. All right, so again, think of your, this is 0, this is 90, 180, 270. Which quadrant are we going to be in? 3. Now if I'm in quadrant 3, what am I going to use? The 90, 180, 270, 360? You always use the 180 if you're in quadrants 2 or 3. So how far past 180 is 200? 20? And you do this, and 20 is your reference angle. All right, and again, how did we get that it was 20? Those of you that gave it to me, what did you do? You did 200 minus 180. Does that make sense? All right, so you're either subtracting from 180 or subtracting 180, just depending on which quadrant you're in. If you don't remember, just subtract. Remember, your reference angle is always positive. So if you subtract and it's negative, just, oh yeah, reference angle is positive. Okay, so this here, the measurement from your terminal side to your x-axis is your reference angle. This is your reference angle. This is your reference angle. Does that make sense? Do I ever look over to the y-axis? No. All right. Number 5. Negative 120 degrees. How is this one different? Negative. All right, so when you're going in the negative direction, you just want to make sure you put your markings in the correct spot. This is still 0. This down here is not 90, it's what? I'm sorry, I'm saying it wrong. It's not 270, it's not just 90, but negative 90, negative 90, negative 180, negative 270. Now when you're finding your reference angles, you don't use the negatives, you just use, again, 180 or 360. Okay, so 120 would be in quadrant 4, 3, right here?
Yeah.
Okay, so if I swing around here 120, how far is 120 from 180? 60. Did you guys do 180 minus 120? So your reference angle is 60. And you put your arrow going like that. And again, this reference angle in here is 60. Just remember, your reference angle is always to your x-axis, never your y. You will never use your 90 or 270 to figure out your reference angle. Got it? Yes.
So the reference angles will never be negative?
No. Reference angles will never be negative. Yes, we went in the negative direction, but your reference angles are positive. Okay. Number 6, 395 degrees. How is this one a little different? We're going to go around more than once. Good, it's really big. Okay, 0, it's positive, so 0, 90, 180, 270, and this again is 360. All right, 395. Do you agree I'm going to do this all the way around one time?
Yeah.
Going all the way around gives me what? 360. If I'm going past and I need to know how far past, what do I do with the 360 and the 395? Subtract. 395, take away 360. Can you guys do that? What is it? So 35. What quadrant will I be in if it's 35? 1. If this came out to be 120, then I would have to continue going further around over here. Does that make sense? All right. So 35, and what ends up being my reference angle? The 35. This right here is the 35 degrees. All right, questions on anything that we've gone over? Is this stuff you've done before? Okay, all right. I'm going to move on to other stuff you're going to see on today's homework. Can I move on? You guys ready? Yeah. All right. I used the word earlier. Do you guys, is this something you've done before? Co-terminal angles? Yes? Do you guys remember what they are?
Yeah.
Yeah, co-terminal. I heard it. What you do what?
Add 360 or subtract 360.
Good job. Okay, I'm going to put in parentheses here 1 positive and 1 negative. Now you said add and subtract. Do you remember from doing that last year? Okay. All right, so remember earlier when I said 0 and 360 are coterminal? Because 0 is here, and if I go all the way around, I'm still at the 0 mark, but now it's 360. Yes? Okay, so if I wanted to find a coterminal to 30, do you agree if from here I added 360, I would end up back where I started? If from the 30 I subtracted 360, I'd also end up back where I started. Do you guys remember that? All right, so let's write down first what coterminal means. Equivalent or the same as. Now many times kids find this really easy, and it is really easy, that they forget to study it, and test day comes and they're like, oh, Mrs. Torres, what's coterminal, or how do I find coterminal? Go back and study it, do not forget. All right, and you gave it to us. You said to add and subtract what? Add and subtract 360 degrees. All right, number 1. $45 degrees. If I want to find 2 coterminal angles to 45, 1 positive and 1 negative, what am I going to do? Add 360 first. Do you agree that will get me all the way around and back to the 45? All right, and what is 45 plus 360? What is it? 405. All right, then we do 45 and we do what? Minus 360. What does the minus do? Get me going in the opposite direction. And what does that give you? Negative 315. And what this means is if I were to, technically those right there are my answers. if I were to plot or graph 405 degrees, and then I would go and I graph negative 315 degrees, would they end up in the same spot? Would they end up right there with that 45?
Yeah.
Yes. All right, questions? Number 2. Any of you guys feeling like this is a little easier than what we've been doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wondering why we didn't start here to begin with?
Is it going to get harder?
Oh, all of advanced math is hard. I'd be lying to you if I said it was easy. It takes work. It's doable. You can get an A. I've had kids get A's every year, but it takes work. Okay, I need to give you a number here. 460. All right, what are we going to do with the 460? Add and subtract. I'm going to have you do that now. But the reason we didn't start with this unit and that we start with that harder factoring unit is because we use factoring all year long. Some of that hard factoring we use all year long. All right. Anybody add it? What did you get? 820. And when you subtracted, what did you get? Now, why would I get this wrong if I stopped here?
It's not negative.
It's not negative. I ended up with 2 positives. Anybody tell me why I got 2 positives?
Because 460 is bigger than 360.
460 is so big, and it's bigger than 360, that when I subtracted it, it still came out positive. Any suggestions?
Yeah, subtract it again.
Subtract it again from this number? Yes?
Yeah.
100. Take away 360 again, and that gives you negative 260. I needed 1 positive and 1 negative. Here's my 1 negative. Does it matter which positive you use? No. There are an infinite amount of answers, because you can add 360 all day long and get an infinite amount of answers. I don't need them all. We can't get them all. There's an infinite amount. So you pick. If you gave me 820 negative 260 or 100 negative 260, both would be correct. Questions? Yes. Yes. I am going to squeeze it down here because you have to leave, yes? The assignment for today, I'm going to squeeze it down at the bottom. It's a book page, finally. Oh. Okay. What is this, 3.1? Page 261. Numbers 29 through 34, 36 through 46, and 79 to 82. Oh, they're easy, guys. I mean, look how easy the notes are so far. We're not done with notes. It's just she had to leave. Is why we wrote it down. Oh my, you guys. Yes. All right. We've got it. Can I continue? Okay. Complementary and supplementary. Do you guys remember that from last year?
90 degrees and 180.
Good job. All right, complementary angles are 2 angles that add up to what? 2 angles that add to 90 degrees. Supplementary angles are 2 angles that add to what? 180 degrees. Does anybody struggle with which one's which, or you have this memorized? You have it memorized? Okay, we're good? All right. Bless you. I want you to find the complementary and supplementary angle to each one. I didn't write it down, but we're going to do it. We're going to find the complementary and the supplementary to 65 degrees. Complementary equals blank. Supplementary equals blank. And I'm going to give you guys a few seconds to do that. All right, complementary is what? 25 degrees, and supplementary is 115. Any questions on that one? How did you guys get 25? What did you do? 90 minus 65 is 25, and how did you get 115? 180 minus 65? Yes, or you said what? Plus 90, good job. Does that make sense and how she did that? All right, good. Number 2, 120 degrees. And complementary and supplementary are positive. You should have positive answers here. So knowing they should be positive, is there a complement? Does 120 have a complementary angle? It does not. 120 cannot add to a positive angle and get 90, so there is no complementary angle. Does it have a supplementary angle? Yes. Yes. Because you want your angles, these answers need to be positive. Complementary, when you're finding these complementary and supplementary angles, they're positive. So when you do 90 minus 120, you get a negative answer. The 90 plus nothing positive will equal 120.
So basically anything over 90
Will have no complement. And anything over 180 will have no complement or no supplement. Yes, all right, what's the supplementary, those of you that have it? 60. All right, questions? Did everybody write the assignment down? What book page? 261, numbers 29 through 34, 36 through 46, 79 through 82.